Hi, this is Diane Mourglia-Swerdlow. Welcome again to expansions.com Cooking with Janet. I have just a couple of things I'm going to show you today because as we get here, at least in Michigan, into our winter weather, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of a change for your breakfast. And as you know, we don't do a lot of carbs, but when I do carbs, I am very mindful of what my ingredients are, how pure they are, and the amount that I eat. And we talked about this a little bit before. The idea is that the general diet today, it's totally overloaded with carbs, which is therefore overloading your body and overloading your system, and that's creating a lot of disease out there that people are having to deal with, and a lot of the internal organs failing to function, and diabetes type 2 is on the rise, which has to do with the sensory of the cells not being able to take in what it is that you're putting into your body. People are putting in so much food and so many carbs, and the carbs turn to sugar. So when you're eating carbs, you want to think about that. You might as well sit down to a bowl full of sugar. So whether it's whole wheat or whole grain or any of that, how much sugar are you putting into your body? The carbs basically are a form of sugar that your body utilizes. You need some, obviously. That's why you have a pancreas. That's basically designed just to process carbs. But you want to be mindful of what you do. And so that's what I'm teaching you as I'm showing you my cooking. So once in a while we do splurge and we do have a little bit more carbs than others. If you can go to complex carbs, which take longer to break down in the digestive system, and therefore it takes longer for your body to assimilate that, and it's a little bit easier. It's like dumping the load in bit by bit. So things like beans and legumes, whole grains, those are a little bit more complex. If you go to your white flours and your processed foods, those really go straight into the bloodstream. Even things like potatoes go straight into the bloodstream. So you want to think about what you're eating and how much of it and how it's taxing your physical body. So with that in mind, I would like to introduce you to millet. I don't know if any of you have eaten this before. I buy mine bulk. And if you buy it bulk, it is, this is about $1.75 a pound. It's organic. Now, you may be familiar with millet because this is what they use to feed the birds. Millet is not really a grain, or it is a grain, I should say, but it's a whole grain. It has everything in it that you need. And it's a lighter grain. It's easier for your body to digest. So it's really a delicious substitute for rice if you're used to eating rice, or for breakfast cereal in the mornings. You can make rice pilaf. Sometimes I put it in my stuffing at the holiday time instead of breadcrumbs. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and it's easy to make, and it's easy to have it on hand. So what I do is I put in a cup of millet. Here's my pot over here. And I'm going to turn my burner on, and I've already boiled my water, but I'm going to bring it to a boil again and simmer it. So 1 cup of millet to 3 cups of steamed distilled water. And you bring it to a simmer, and you simmer for about 20-30 minutes, and that's it. So it's very easy to make. So I'm going to let it simmer, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's done. But it's nice and fluffy. And then also, I just wanted to show you this package. This is Eden Organic Millet that you can also get. It's a little bit more expensive, $2.99 a pound, almost double, not quite if you buy it like this. But still, you get a pound of it, and it goes a long ways. According to this packet, a 1/4 cup of millet has about 30 carbs. And I used a 1/2 cup, which means it has 60 carbs to 3 cups of water. So this whole batch of millet is only going to have 60 carbs in it. So that's my warming signal on my oven. Sorry, let me start that again. So what you find is you're going to wind up with about 3, maybe 3.5 cups of millet. It's only going to have 60 carbs, so you can have a 1/2 cup with perhaps almond milk or coconut milk or goat milk. And if you like to have it sweetened, you can put in a tiny bit of maple syrup, a tiny bit of honey. You can do stevia with it. You can add cinnamon for a breakfast cereal. It's really nice. Or again, like I said, you can put this in place of breadcrumbs and some of the things that you make. Anywhere from meatballs to stuffing to I don't know, the rice pilaf like I mentioned before. So use your imagination, so it's up to you. But anyway, so I'm going to let this sit here and simmer. And while this simmers, the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is another favorite recipe of mine, which is oatmeal muffins. Now you might have remembered I talked to you last time that we talked about oats. This is oat flour that I've made in my food processor. I just took, again, organic oats. Organic oats have about 54 carbs per cup, so it's not too bad again. And it's a whole grain, and I grind it up in my food processor. When I do that, I've calculated it, according to my calculations, it has about 80 carbs per cup of flour. And in this recipe, I've doubled it so you can have it, but I'm going to give you a doubled recipe. If you have it, you'll make about 12 muffins because of my family and because I like to put it in the refrigerator sometimes and bake my muffins fresh every morning so they're hot out of the oven when we eat them. So I'm doubling my recipe. So we have 3 cups of oat flour, and then I also put in 2 cups of the whole oats. So I just put that in like that. Now you can use milk, again goat milk, but this coconut milk, I happen to like it. Basically only has 1 carb per cup, so you can barely count it. This recipe takes 2 cups of liquid. I've also used buttermilk in here. I've done a variety of things. Again, it just depends on what your needs are. So 2 cups go in here. I'm going to stir this around. Now in the beginning, this is kind of a soupy looking mix, but what happens as it sets, the grain absorbs the liquid, and as it absorbs the liquid, it thickens. So it really makes a nice batter. I have over here 6 teaspoons of aluminum-free baking powder. So I'm going to add that with a tiny bit of salt. Because I use sea salt and it's so strong, I just put a tiny bit in, maybe 1/4 teaspoon. This recipe also takes shortening, and my shortening of choice is olive oil. You can use any kind that you like, and because I'm doubling it, I'm going to put in 2/3 of a cup of olive oil. You can use butter, cow butter, goat butter. You can add coconut oil for your shortening. Turn this down here so it can simmer a little bit lower. Okay, and I put in 2 eggs as well. And I also put in sweetener, and I have done this a variety of ways, but because I keep it so low carb, I go ahead, because I like the flavor of maple syrup, and I'm going to put that in as my sweetener, 1/2 cup. And you can do something different if you like. This is going to add approximately 100 carbs to everything. You can use honey, you can use stevia, you can use coconut sugar. But when I make the muffins away, I haven't figured the number that I make. They're about 15 carbs per muffin, which I think is relatively reasonable. And because of the whole grain, it does slow the ingestion of the carbs into your system. It's still, of course, quicker than maybe a bean or something like that, but it is still a little bit slower than white sugar and whatever else that you might want to put in. So you can see it makes a really nice mix. And it's very nutritious as far as your family. Now, if you have a tendency to have mucus type issues, any kind of whole grain can add to that, and oatmeal will do that specifically. So you want to think about what your body can handle and what feels good to you. But everything in moderation. So when you bake these, you don't want to sit down and eat all of them at once. You want to eat 1, maybe 2, and that's it, and put the rest away. You can freeze them, or if you're, again, a single person, what you can do is make 2 and you're done. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and put the paper clips in here. You can see what a nice batter. And this will set up even more as it sits, because I do put some in the refrigerator, as I've mentioned to you. So all of this, and I just put usually a couple tablespoons, maybe 3. I don't make them huge. These are not going to puff up really big like what you might be used to at the store, because at the store they use very light ingredients like the white flours and the white sugars, and so it is naturally going to be a little bit puffier, and other things which we probably cannot pronounce. When these come out of the oven, it's almost like eating a bowl of oatmeal that's been baked. And I like mine with a little bit of butter, sometimes a little bit of fruit. As you know, I get the nectar from Cindy, the organic, which I really like. You can also put things in here. You can add a banana, you can add nuts, you could add dried fruit, you can add chocolate chips. I would do is I would take an 85% organic chocolate bar and chop it into tiny pieces, and you could put that in there for something different. And again, use your imagination. You can add cinnamon. And what do you like? What does your family like? What kind of combinations do you like? You can add a little bit of pumpkin. You could add a little zucchini. I'm just showing you the basic recipe, which is very easy to do. Okay, now we've got the pan full and ready to go. I'm going to put this in the oven at 375 for somewhere around 20 to 30 minutes. I'm going to check it about 15 to 20 minutes just to see, because I don't want it to be too done. But like I said, these are a little bit, these will be a little dense. They're not going to be, oops, I got to move that oven rack down. It's set to broil and not bake, so let's get that. You want it in the middle of your oven, not up the top, so it bakes evenly. There we go. Alright, I'll set my timer for about 20 minutes. And check my millet here. It's coming along. You can see it's swelling up. It's going to be light and fluffy before we're done. I'm going to turn my heat just a little bit. But I think I told you it's going to take it 20 or 30 minutes. So we're going to check on this in a little bit, and then we will check on the muffins and see how those are doing. Okay, so we have just a couple seconds left. Let's check the muffins and see how they look. Oh, they look pretty good. Now the way I like to check them, and I can't remember if I told you this before, is they should be a little springy on the top. And I also use a toothpick. And you can just put that right in the top of your muffin and take it out. And if nothing clings to it, I have a couple little crumbs. If you want a little bit more done, you can, but for me that's good. If it comes out wet, obviously it's not done. But you can see the bottom looks nice. It doesn't look like it's too done, unless you like that thick crust. And some people do. Once you take it out of the oven, then you want to take them out of the pan right away, because they will continue cooking. Your pan is still hot. So you want to remember that. So you want to take them out, and of course the way I like to eat them best is hot out of the oven, the little butter and a little bit of the fruit nectar, but however you like it, that's what you want to do. And the other thing I want to mention too, if you don't have a muffin pan, again, improvise. Don't be discouraged. If you have some kind of a cake pan, a round cake pan, a square cake pan, a foil pan, you know, whatever you have, you can bake it like a cake. You just want to be mindful that it is a heavier batter, so check the middle when you want to check for doneness. And you know, whatever you have, make that work. Don't think I can't do this because. Think of why you can do it and figure out why you can do it. So anyway, there's the muffins. Those turned out really nice. And let's take a look at the millet. This finished a couple of minutes ago. You can see how nice and fluffy this is. And it makes a really wonderful addition to any meal, breakfast, morning snack, late night snack. It's very easy to digest. It is a complete protein, and I highly recommend that you try it. Now I know some of you are going to write in and say, what about quinoa and amaranth and some of those kind of grains? Those grains are also very good, and they're also very light as well. For me personally, I prefer millet. It's a little heavier. The amaranth and quinoa to me is a little too light, but it's personal preference. So you can do it the same way, you can use it the same way. They're really nice, old, more heirloom type grains, and so yes, I would recommend that if you like that. So anyway, that will give you some interesting breakfast foods for you to have during the holiday season, or like I said, any time of day foods actually. I appreciate you coming and joining me and taking the time to hear what I have to say, and I love it when you post back on the site, or on now we're getting these on Facebook. and tell me what you've made and what your results are, or if you're doing anything different, or things that you want to share with the other people who are out there reading and cooking, because we want to take care of our minds, we want to take care of our bodies, we want a totally full, enriched life in a balanced way. And that's what I'm doing my best to show you what you can do very easily, very efficiently, very practically, and incorporate these into your daily living. This isn't something you do once in a while, it's a way of life. You want to have a balanced living, you want to have balanced mind pattern, you want to have balanced things coming back to you that enhance your life in all ways, because we're in this together. It's all about positive upliftment, exploring the God mind together. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I look forward to visiting with you again very soon and reading what you have to say on the website, on Facebook, however you want to get your information back to me, and so that other people can read it too. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.